The first thing you will notice is a brand new getting started. It has a lot more coverage. At the same time, it is easier to use. The first part is management, representing the area of management such as cost management, configuration management, or inventory management. The reason why compliance is not here is because it is now completely built into the product as a page. Next is a flow, which is representing a process, such as you want to fix something, troubleshooting process, or if there is nothing wrong but you want to optimize something, so we have the optimization process. So in a sense, part of the VMware optimization assessment is already baked in. Next is beyond vSphere. So now AWS and Azure is built into this. And it also goes beyond the traditional VMware admin, VMware architect persona. You have now the help desk persona who wants a live dashboard on a big screen. You also have the IT executive, IT senior management who wants to have a bigger picture. Let's dive into one of the dashboards. Since performance is a very common, let's come inside here. It's grouped into two: consumer, things that consumes the resources of the shared environment. These are typically VM and guest operating systems such as Windows or Linux. And providers, which is IaaS. In this case, it is your vSphere, it is your vSAN, right? And so let's get into a VM first. The dashboard takes a progressive disclosure approach. So it is faster to load. At the same time, it is easier. So your eyes are drawn into this area. So these are all the data centers, and you can select one of these things, or you can select the whole world. Let me just take one of them. I want to zoom in into this data center and automatically analyze how are the infrastructure is performing in serving the VMs, like how many VMs are getting the CPU they are asking, which is the green one, and how many are not. Right, so I can tell here that this particular environment, it is doing well in terms of memory. None of the VM is not getting what they are asking, but in terms of CPU, it's not so good. Then I can drill down into any of the VMs in the data centers, right? And it will show it to me whether the VM is being served well, yes or no, by the infrastructure as a service, which is CPU, memory, disk, network. And it will go on and shows the various counters, the key performance indicators, counters that can impact the performance of the VM. Now you may notice here, these two counters are coming from the guest OS. It requires VMware tools. So let me pick up a VM with VMware tools here, and automatically you will have the counters that are coming from the guest. And this is essentially the CPU is being queued inside Windows and Linux. And this is the disk I/O being queued inside Windows and Linux, meaning they have not yet get out of the VM and into the hypervisor. Now let's look at the VM utilizations. And again, progressive disclosure, very similar. I select a data center, and this time around it is focusing on the utilizations of the VMs. Is any of them running hot? As I can tell here, that majority of them, well, they are all in fact here, right? And the color is green here because that means the VM are wasting it. They're not using the resources given to them. Let's say they are configured with 8 CPU, but they're only using 2 CPU. While on the other hand, here the VM is running hot. Right? And again, I have the list of the VMs, and I can click on it and I get utilization counters. And as you can tell here, this is also coming from inside the guest. So you don't have to worry about which counters coming from inside, which counters should be coming from outside, and which one should be coming from inside. That is part of vRealize operations and best practice. In the interest of time, let's move on to capacity. And this time around, again, you notice consumer layers and providers layers. Let me take this time around a cluster capacity, something from the providers. And again, quickly, vRealize operation presents you with a summary. In this case, I can see all my clusters categorized by capacity remaining. So I can see that there are a few clusters here that's running low on capacity, right? This is red colors, and I don't have anything that is running high on capacity remaining. And on the other hand, by time remaining, a lot of them are actually, I don't need to buy clusters right now. So the perfect ideal situation is you do not have capacity, that you are running low on capacity remaining. That means they are highly utilized. You are using what you paid for, but they are very high on the time remaining. That means you don't need to buy an additional hardware. Certainly, on the other hand, if you have a lot of clusters low on time remaining, but they're not so high on capacity remaining. Next, it gives you a heat map, and you can see the heat map on capacity remaining, time remaining, or even VM remaining. And by now, by looking at the VM capacity, you get used to the fact that there is a table, and then you can see details about that cluster. So you get the utilization, you get the performance, and you get the offer commit ratio. All the details about that cluster's capacity is provided.